Happy Friday! Welcome to SJU Fan Friday, which I just made up this morning.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
because I didn't have any news stories for us, so I asked you to source them for me.
Thanks,
and
fans.
thank you. You came through because you are amazing fans. You can interact with us and leave requests at #SJU Live. You can also call in on Skype via SJU Live, which is very exciting. If it's not working on mobile, I think it'll work a little better on desktop, according to our test this morning. I'm Ruth Cornett.
We'll figure it
I
out.
did a lot of things before I got to that information, and this is Joe Starr.
Hi.
That's Spencer Gilbert.
Good morning.
You know Dan Merle.
Hi.
Hello
That
again.
was so sweet. That was just very sweet.
I like your dinosaur shirt, by the way, Dan.
Thank you. Dinosaurs and NASA.
That's
from
I'm
Jurassic
Larry.
World.
I'm very pro science today.
I
That's
like
Blue
it.
Yeah.
from Jurassic World, right?
No.
Oh.
No
Dan,
Jurassic World.
we had a real world NASA story that I eschewed in favor of going with fan questions, but should I have
Oh.
done that?
I don't know. I love
don't know.
fan questions.
Yeah, let's
All right,
get back
do
to the
fan
fans.
questions.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Because in truth, you guys are, we were just talking about this, legitimately amazing fans, and we are very grateful for you because you allow us to do fun things like this. Talk about the Karate Kid sequel, which is coming to YouTube Red. This is
Yeah.
via a request from John Mariano. So here's the deal. This is the original 2 stars of Karate Kid. This is Ralph Macchio, friends.
And Bill Zabka.
Exactly. Mr. Johnny Lawrence himself.
Oscar nominee William Zabka.
From what?
What?
Billy Zabka, he was nominated for an Oscar for like best documentary short.
Awesome.
I just want to make sure that Johnny gets the
it, buddy.
the
Credit
respect
he's
that he
due.
deserves.
Like
He is
Oscar nominee Suicide Squad.
Yes.
Oh,
He's
man.
Oscar nominee William Zabka.
Yeah, you put that Oscar in a body
Wow.
bag, Johnny.
Yeah.
Sweep that category, yeah.
Sweep the life, Johnny. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. All right, so he is open. It's titled Cobra Kai, which is the dojo from the original movie, the bad guy dojo. And I guess the basic premise is that Johnny seeks redemption and he's going to reopen the old dojo and he's going into competition against our very own Daniel. Who's successful but dealing with some life balance issues after the loss of Mr. Miyagi. So that's the basic premise. And apparently there was a bidding war with Netflix and Hulu, and who got it? But YouTube Red.
So I have a few additional details on this show.
Excellent.
I've heard some things. So I guess based on who's working on it, the tone is going to be a little more comedy, but it focuses on Johnny a little more than Daniel. And basically the idea is he's successful. He owns a bunch of like car dealerships and stuff in the valley, but like his whole rep is still that he got crane kicked in the face that one time
Sure.
when he was a kid. Like that's
You
it's
just can't live it down
Yeah,
all
you
these
can't live it
years
down.
later?
Small town Reseda, man. You
Yeah.
can't live that
That was
down.
the All Valley
Yeah,
tournament,
what
not the
happens
Sun
in the
Valley.
valley,
whole
man.
valley was there.
Yeah, the whole valley was represented. San Fernando, the whole
Thousand
thing.
Oaks, they're all
Sherman Oaks.
Everybody in all the
Encino.
Burbank.
You just can't go
Woodland
anywhere.
Yeah, so that's sort of the idea is like they're almost doing like a reverse Karate Kid where he reopens the Cobra Kai dojo because he like starts working with these kids that are that get bullied, and so he sort of finds some
how the worm
self-worth.
has turned.
Yeah.
Here's a question that I wasn't actually knowing that I was going to ask, but were you bullied? And then as a result, did you ever bully others, or did you learn completely not to? Let me tell you a little bit about my story. I was heavily bullied in like grade school, like first, second grade. And as a result, I was always super opposed to bullying anyone ever, I hope.
Did you learn to crane kick people?
I did, and that's how I got past the bullying.
Yeah.
But the weird thing to me is that psychologically, like that's the Johnny path versus some people I think then engage in bullying. Let's talk about #bullying here on SJU in the morning. Joe?
Well, you know, I moved to a small town with my mom. She was moving there for a job. I didn't have a whole lot of say in it. And I got bullied by a bunch of guys wearing skeleton costumes as a kid.
Yeah, that's so
A lot.
weird. That sounds really familiar.
Until I encountered the American
Wisdom.
romanticized version of a Japanese immigrant and learned the martial arts from the
Yeah.
island of Okinawa.
I'm
And
assuming that's your story too, Spencer.
Well, no, I just worked as this guy's like unpaid hard laborer.
Okay.
And I thought
This
it
is
was
when
going to
he
be
was
like
9.
a reveal that it would be karate, but in the end, I was just washing his
You were
car.
just watching his car.
And he kept taking photos of me. It got weird.
Yeah.
Dan?
Yeah.
Great.
I mean, we're all internet movie people, so
Yeah, I was mercilessly for many years. Yes.
Excellent. Well, that's been sincerity.
Excellent. Okay.
Excellent.
It's horrible. I just told you I was too. I had an actual hate club formed against me in second grade.
Like the No Homers Club?
Nice.
Yeah, which is it was like really
No
funny.
homers.
No Homers.
Anyway, did not know we were going there, but we do have a Skype call on that note.
Oh, we do.
Let's
Okay.
put cans on.
Gingerly put on my headphones.
Caller?
Caller,
You there?
are you there?
Yeah.
Hey.
What's up?
Hello.
Morning.
Welcome to SJU.
I tried to get in on the last SJU on Plus, but I'm happy to be your first caller on the Friday morning show.
Nice.
Awesome. What do you think about the Karate Kid on YouTube Red? Are you going to get YouTube Red now?
I don't know if I'm gonna get YouTube Red, but I've actually never seen any of the Karate Kid movies.
Hang up
I
with us and go watch the first one.
The
Yeah,
plot
watch
is
at least the first one.
is remarkably similar to Joe's
Remarkably
life.
similar
That's
to my
the weird
childhood
part.
story.
Yeah.
The
Funny
first,
thing is I'm 22, and I feel like because I'm kind of past the age that Daniel-san was in the film, I feel like I wouldn't have as strong as an emotional connection as a lot of people who kind of grew up watching the film as a closer age to the characters. So I just don't know if it would hold up as great as it would have been if I watched it like 12 years ago.
I will tell you this. I was a latecomer to the Karate Kid. I did not see it actually until I was about your age. And I still enjoyed it a lot. It's
Yeah.
actually people say that there's the camp factor, but it's actually a pretty good movie.
I don't think it's campy.
Pat Morita.
Yeah.
But some people, I think it's regarded as like an '80s kind of campy movie, and it's actually, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm almost positive Pat Morita was nominated for an Oscar for that movie.
Yeah.
For Best Supporting Actor. So it's actually a good movie. So even though I get what you're saying, but I came to the Karate Kid late as well, and I still enjoyed it thoroughly.
And just
so.
as a part of film history, there's so many movies that took that as the template of
Yeah.
like new kid comes to town, learns a weird skill, and wins the tournament at the end. Like you saw that over and over and over again in the 80s. I don't think they ever did it quite as well.
Yeah.
You did not see that thing as much as you saw Let's All Dance for Money to Save the Center.
Yeah.
That storyline was, I think, the most popular 80s
That's
storyline
sure.
and arguably
A lot
the
of rec
best.
centers were in jeopardy.
Also, one of the greatest sequels
Yeah.
to any film, Karate Kid 2. Fantastic sequel.
I thought you were going to
I
talk
thought you were
about
talking
the
the one with
next
Jaden
Karate
Smith.
Kid.
I did see the Jaden Smith one. I do
Okay, wipe that one out of your memory and go
Yeah.
see the
You
original.
can't watch that without.
It's worth it.
But I wanted to mention, because I wanted to mention this on the last Plus SJU, but I have chosen a show to watch for my podcast.
What do you
Okay,
got?
let us know.
I'm watching 5 shows for 5 different podcasts.
Whoa.
Oh, you're
That is
flashing frenzying it. I'm so
ambitious.
sorry.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Which 5?
Yeah, what are the 5?
I'm doing Chuck Concord.
Oh, you cut out
Oh,
just
no,
the
we
right.
lost you on the
Concord's
reveal.
Undateable.
Okay.
Did you hear me?
Yeah, start again. Which ones?
Chuck, Flight of the Concords, I Survived a Japanese Game Show, Undateable, and I'm trying to remember the last one. But there is a last one.
Okay.
How can people find your podcast?
They're on iTunes. It's the Brandon Parnes Podcast Network, PARNES, and BrandonParnes.com.
Awesome.
right,
Well,
buddy.
we'll talk to you in
Thank
8
you.
years
Oh,
when you
Can't wait
finish.
to hear you go slightly
Yeah.
nuts.
And Mr. Show, I'm doing a sketch.
Oh, that's a good
That's
one.
a good one.
Oh,
That's a good
There
one.
you go.
Solid options. All right,
Thanks,
thank
dude.
you so much
Ambitious
for the
slate.
call.
Thanks for
you
being our
you.
first caller to
You
SJU.
guys, ScreenJunkies forever. I know it's a late.
Yay.
Thank you.
Plus, I am fully a Screen Junkie now, so I love you guys.
Thank you. We love you too. That's what's amazing to me about that too is that he knows Daniel-san even though he's never seen the movie. Like, do you guys have things that you know even though you've never seen the movie?
I'm sure we do.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm sure something is
Percolated in
percolating
there.
that I haven't seen.
All right. There is a rogue conversation, Billy tells me, happening in the chat about the best way to wash a hat.
What?
So I don't have an answer for that at the moment.
I don't think you can.
I just think soap and water, right? You can wash a hat.
Machine wash?
Yeah, Dan?
Machine
I would
Dan's
know.
the answer.
I pop in the washing machine. This
Washing
one needs to be
machine.
washed. It's been a while. They fade though.
Yeah.
You can only.
Hashtag does Dan wash his hat?
Hashtag
Does
does
Dan
Dan
wash
wash
his
his hat? Answer.
Sometimes.
Asked
It's a
and
faded hat.
answered.
Sometimes yes, I watched this one. However, this one is a little old, a little faded, and it's time to buy a new one because they fade.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
so yes, I do.
All right.
All right.
Asked and answered.
Now you know.
Now, if you guys
I'm so
want to
glad
get,
we're answering the important
You
questions.
should auction
Yes.
them off at the end of their lifespan.
No.
you should be one of those. Yeah.
No, I use them for
A
like
game worn Merle hat. Come
I
on.
use them for like walking hats and hiking hats, with the sweat and stuff. So yes, I do wash my hat.
All right. Well, we're gonna close.
How
out
many
the-
different genres of hat do you have? Like walking hat, hiking hat.
It's
Still
mostly
talk about
just
that.
they're
Formal
all,
hat.
They're all Florida State hats, and I have like 3.
Got it.
All right. Very well. So we're going to close out the Karate Kid segment, but talk about a little bit about who the creators are, and if we'll all say if we are now solidly on board and going to get YouTube Red.
I mean, it's a great team. It's the team behind like Hot Tub Time Machine and Harold and Kumar. So there's some potential there. I'm honestly hoping they lean a little more serious than say like the Kick Punch Way or like Eastbound and Down, because you could easily sort of take the piss out of this, and it's those guys sort of ironically coming back, and it feels more like a Funny or Die series that way. So I'm hoping that they at least take it a little seriously.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the story.
You had me at Johnny. I am now going to get YouTube Red, at least for the amount of time that it takes me to watch this series. So I'll probably wait till the release. If they don't release it all at once to the second to last episode, and then get it and then watch it all over a weekend, because that's how I do weekends. Are you in?
I'm in.
Yeah.
I feel like this is the first YouTube Red thing that's like aimed squarely at us,
Yeah.
like older film fans. Yeah, it's like this is right in the wheelhouse.
Why you keep saying that when you know I'm 16?
Of course. But I have YouTube TV, which is really cool because you can just watch cable on YouTube. I think that comes with Red. I'll check. There hasn't been a project that's gotten me to check it out until now.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I doubt it.
We'll
If
tell
I'm
you all
being
about it.
honest,
Come on, man, no mercy.
I have Netflix and Hulu, and I can't watch all of that. So why would I invest more money into another platform that I won't?
Are you going to
have
pick
time
up
to
another
watch
one for
content on?
Discovery?
Well, that's the other thing. Now, if I want to watch Star Trek, I got to get a thing.
Yeah.
Too.
I have a series coming to us
There's a
about
lot of
how to
things.
game the streaming system, so I can tell us how to do that very cheaply. Coming to you maybe next week if I get my
Nice.
act together to do it. Charlie Phillips is asking, first of all, we want to clarify because somebody in the chat was asking, is this real? It is real. It is happening. But Charlie Phillips wants us to make sure that we include more games that frustrate and irritate Dan and Spencer. Well, I don't have a game to irritate them today, but I do have a story about a James Bond lawsuit that upset Dan.
It did, yeah. There's this lawsuit. It's in United States District Court. This person who bought the Bond 50 box set, which I own, and it's a great box set. They bought it on DVD. I have it on Blu-ray, but they took out all the Bond films, they remastered them, they're HD transfers. I don't know why she bought it on DVD. She bought it on DVD for some reason. Stupid.
It's the kind of person who would sue
I'm
over
just
this.
saying,
Hashtag
the same
stupid.
person that would sue over this bought the Bond 50 box set, and now they're suing, and this just did not get thrown out of court. They're saying that it advertises itself as including all of the Bond films, but it doesn't include 1967's Casino Royale and 1983's Never Say Never Again, which
is
Casino
because-
Royale is a spoof.
Yeah.
It is the first film that she's not suing over the Barry Nelson Casino Royale, which is on TV, which just goes to show that she's a newbie. Secondly, I'm just saying, if you're gonna sue over all of them, then don't be a partial completionist. But Casino Royale is like a spoof film. It has David Niven in it, and Woody Allen plays Jimmy Bond, and it's like it wasn't an official James Bond movie.
Ian didn't do that one.
Ian didn't do that one. It was made before the official movie started. And then Never Say Never Again was basically an FU when they were James Bond rights, when Sean Connery was like, oh, I'm going to play him even though I was too old 12 years ago. And he came back and played James Bond again. It's a shitty remake, pardon my French, of Thunderball, which he was already in. So it's like a bad remake of a James Bond movie that Sean Connery already did. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. First of all, like, there's a list on the thing of what movies are in the box set. So it's like, if you're wondering, like, oh, are they all in there? There's a list. Like, literally, I went to Amazon. It's like, I bought it on Amazon, and it said it had all the movies. It didn't have all the movies. It says there's 22 movies. So if you're a real Bond fan, then you know exactly how many movies should be in it. Secondly, there's a list. Like, you go down, the first thing is like, somebody said, like, for people that are wondering what movies are in there, there's a list. So she didn't read. She wasn't informed. And secondly, this would be like buying an X-Men box set, and you get like X-Men and X-Men 2 and X-Men 3. And I'm not saying all the James Bond movies are great, but it's like you get all of the X-Men movies, Last Stand, Apocalypse, First Class. It's like somebody suing Fox and saying like, you didn't give me X-Men Origins Wolverine, so can I get my money back? No! You can't. This is the dumbest thing. It's a stupid lawsuit, number one. This is in federal court right now. They're gonna hear the case, and this clown who made the decision. This guy is a U.S. District Court judge, and his decision has all these James Bond puns in it. He's like, plaintiff may amend her claim once she discovers sufficient facts to establish privity. Thus, this claim may only live twice. At this time, the court will live and let die. This claim will have to die another day. You're a federal judge.
And in conclusion, Octopussy.
This guy was appointed by the President of the United States. He was
Which one?
confirmed by the Senate, this judge, and he's got nothing better to do than like make a decision riddled with James Bond puns. Like, this is a stupid lawsuit. It's still in court, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard, and it's over 2 awful James Bond movies.
And Ian didn't do, correct me if I'm wrong, Ian didn't do that Casino Royale, but did Ian do Never Say Never?
No.
Yeah, so those are the 2 movies
It was
that
born out of a legal dispute where there's like, can we do a James Bond movie or not? And Sean Connery's like, I can.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's a inferior version of a movie that's in that box set.
But it also answers why it's not in that box set, because that production company didn't produce those 2 films.
But it is the epitome of just
This is my favorite Dan rant ever.
This
by
is
the
like
way.
this is like the uninformed internet commenter made into a person. It's like, you bought a box set that you didn't research, you didn't properly go into what movies are in there. You could have easily looked up what movies are in there, and then you could buy the other one separately, or don't buy the box set. It's just like, I didn't do my research, I'm not happy with what I want, and now it's your problem. And it's just the dumbest thing. And it's tying up the courts.
Look, I don't believe
this is in court.
Not to interrupt your rant. I don't believe in the lawsuit. You're taking it way too far. But if someone says all, that cuts off research where I'm like, oh, they're all in here.
Yeah.
I don't need to do the research because they're all here.
If it's all the X-Men movies, I better get Fox's made-for-TV Generation X movie.
Right, exactly. No, Joe is making the opposite point. If somebody says you're getting all the X-Men movies, I'm not going to expect
Wolverine in
Fox's
there.
Generation X movie from 1995.
It's got X-Men in the title. X-Men Origins Wolverine.
I expect
Origins
Kenny
Wolverine.
Pride of the X-Men. What if you found out that this judge always makes Bond puns, but then finally
Every decision.
he gets
His
the
day
trial
has
of his,
come?
his day has come.
I mean, but this is just the biggest nothing. Okay, let's grant the premise that maybe they could have been a little clearer in their labeling of this box set.
I'm sorry, but that does not make for great advertising. All of the Eon produced parenthetical James Bond movies. Like, that just doesn't even make any sense. Although I do have to applaud his puns. I'm going to be honest. Continue.
Again, he's a district. There's got to be better things to do as a district court judge than to make James Bond puns. Let's grant the premise that okay, maybe they could have been clearer on the box. You know what you do if you're not happy? You return it,
their box.
and you buy the movies that you want. You don't go to court. It's like, she's like, I'm filing. It's a class action lawsuit on behalf of myself and the other people that were offended. There's no other people. It's just you. At this point, I just want to go and give her money back personally. Like, her name is Mary Johnson. Mary Johnson. In the interest of the United States court system, I will buy those movies for you on your format of choice. I don't know why you're still watching DVDs, but fine. Just to get this out of the court system, because this is ridiculous. This is insane.
Can I ask you a quick question? Are you more offended by the puns or the fact that it's wasting the court's time? Or the fact that the court is wasting its own time with the puns.
The court is wasting its own time with the puns.
Yeah.
Like, if the
Because that judge thought of those for a while.
right, exactly.
Wrote
It's
them
not
down.
so
Let's
much
see,
like
Goldfinger. No.
I just hope
if you want to say there's no legal means, like the legal language says all, and if you want to refer it to a higher court and say we can't file the lawsuit, that's fine. Just do the bare minimum there. Don't sit there and think of like, where's my clerk? Get me I've got some pun. Get me the list of Bond movies. This is going to be it's
I
like,
only
no.
hope this plaintiff finds some quantum of solace.
How long did it take?
Most of the segment.
The sky fell on Miss Johnson the day she realized that Casino Royale. It's just so stupid. It's such a dumb lawsuit.
God.
This got me. I was sitting at my desk this morning reading this, and I literally sent this to you and Billy, and I was like, "This is a stupid, dumb story that makes me angry." I think it's exactly how I.
Which is
said it.
when
Billy went, "Yes."
Billy and I went, yes.
Yes, of course.
We will do that
Boom.
story.
It's just so
because it's an odd job that we have, Dan.
Federal money
Thank you.
is being spent on the time to even hear this out. Just return it. Just return it. Just send it back. That's all you got to do.
I feel like
I bought the payback director's cut. I bought the director's cut to Payback, which is not at all the theatrical version of the
It is
movie
not?
Payback. It is a completely different movie, and it doesn't really say that on the cover. It says it's the director's cut, but it doesn't say like it's an alternate vision or whatever. You know what I did? I took it back. I didn't sue Mel Gibson. You could sue him for a lot of things, but not that. I didn't sue the studio because like you should have more clearly marked that this wasn't the original.
This needs to be settled out of court, slappers only.
Slappers only
in the basement.
No odd job.
License to kill.
For by the way, thank you for the pity odd job. What's up? But for the people that are still watching this, we have a new hashtag for comments, and it's I would do anything for Bond, but don't do that. Or do you have an
hashtag.
That's a
it's
really
it's too
long
long.
hashtag.
Condense it.
Dumb lawsuit.
Okay.
Hashtag dumb lawsuit.
Very well.
Yeah.
We have some other fan questions, surprisingly.
I love how no one
This-
else weighed in on that. You just let me spin like an insane person, and then we move on.
That makes for great television.
It's very
Dan.
therapeutic.
I feel better. That's how you get your aggression out. You just find a lawsuit that pisses you off and you rant about it.
Yeah.
Isn't
Scream
that
for a
what
while.
you do?
Yeah, usually.
Yeah, when you're not in the dojo.
Yeah.
Matt Bacon asks, drinking during press screenings, yay or nay? And I love this question.
That is a good question.
Because there's a lot of times, and Matt, you seem to know this, that if there's a movie that, say, the studio doesn't feel that confident about,
Mm-hmm.
they'll have like an event where they do cocktails before the screening and then
Wow.
bring you
Yep.
in to see
Yeah.
it.
It's true.
So do you think you should partake of those cocktails or not?
I say nay. Personally, I feel like if I'm there to review the movie, I've always said like I owe them a sober-minded judgment, and either way. So I don't partake. Even if I go to a movie on my own time that I'm reviewing, and so many theaters now in LA offer beer, and I don't drink if I'm reviewing it, just because it's like it does alter your perception of it, and unless I'm crediting it as a drunk review, which I don't.
Why don't we do? I have pitched. Okay, you guys. Here, hashtag drunk review. I've pitched this to Andy so many times that we do drunk reviews every so often, not too often, but for things like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, which at that point it's just like, how do you even understand what the plot is?
Can I, a little inside baseball for Screen Junkies. Whenever Roth pitches an idea, she pitches it around the movie Tinker Tailor Soldier
It's
Spy.
true.
It is true.
What
It's
is-
like the fourth
what
Tinker
is-
Tailor Soldier Spy.
What's your
pitch we've had.
fascination
Yeah,
with
what's
that?
going on here?
What's not your fascination with it?
I mean,
is
it's
the
okay.
Better question.
It's good.
It's like every.
I mean, there's a lot of movies
It's
out
literally
there.
only been drunk. But here's my two secrets. One, I've never seen Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Oh, so you
'cause
just
I'm
want an excuse to
waiting
rewatch
see
it.
Drunk, and two, I'm always drunk. So
Why would you be waiting to see Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy drunk?
Why wouldn't you?
It is kind of intricate and difficult to follow.
Exactly. That's the point. Do you guys not watch Drunk History?
I feel like we could make like a contract exception where like you can do it on your personal channel and we'll promote it and like just do Roth's Tinker Tailor Soldier rewatch.
Would you guys do my Tinker Tailor Soldier drunken rewatch? Thank you. Spencer, yay or nay to drinking during screenings?
I mean, I think this is a very 1% question. I don't
It
go
is-
to
it
press
is a very
screenings.
1%
You two are the
question,
only
yeah.
ones who
Like,
go to
This is
these
really for you
things.
We're
two.
literally
Yeah.
the only two people really in this building that are
So,
qualified to answer
I'll let you
this
two hash this
question.
one out.
Very
yeah,
well.
I've only
I am
seen a
nay.
few drunk movies just with the people, and it was Pan's Labyrinth, and I broke a beer bottle by
that's too
accident, and
bad.
it was really humiliating. I dropped it, and it shattered, and then the woman in front of me left after I did that because I think I got beer on her purse. And
Spencer.
I was a bad movie theater guest at that point.
Why Pan's Labyrinth?
Yeah, that's too bad because that's
I
actually
didn't know what
a
I was
great
walking into,
movie.
really.
It's a little, yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
oh, a fun Guillermo del Toro Hellboy thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
No,
Yeah.
it is not.
Have you seen it again? Because it's a really great film. That
Yeah, I
would
have seen
bum
it
me
since,
out.
yeah.
Okay, cool. I did 50 Shades drunk.
That's fair.
With some friends.
That's
That
fair.
Well,
wasn't
see, yeah,
it wasn't a
that's-
press screening. It
Yeah,
was,
that's understandable.
and I didn't review it.
We did not screen Rogue One drunk, but so that event was on Skywalker Ranch, so we screened, and then they put a lot of drinks in us, and then they gave us a tour of Skywalker Ranch, which in pitch darkness, so you couldn't see anything, and we were all drunk enough to like actively complain about it on the tour, where they're like, there's a lake 10 feet in front of you, and everyone had had enough gin or so punned gin drinks where they're like, well, I don't care, I can't see the lake, and it was sort of a disaster.
Cool.
So that's a yay and a nay, and I plead the fifth. All right, and I will find out by the emails later if that's a question we should not have taken. Alex Kurtzman may be leaving the Dark Universe, and this is where I have to apologize because I cannot find the Twitter handle of the wonderful person who asked this asked us to talk about this, so if you tweet me later, I will include it next week. But what do you guys think? He's having doubts.
Yeah,
This is the man
Going public. Yeah.
yeah. Off to what's the opposite of a bang? A whimper?
Yeah.
A fizzle?
A fizzle?
Yeah.
A fart?
Toot in the wind. Yeah. Kurtzman's. I don't know. What got him to the place he is today?
A lot of
J.J.
television.
Abrams.
J.J. Abrams. Okay. And a lot of television.
It certainly helped.
He and Roberto Orci were partners for a lot of years, and they wrote on Star Trek, the movie, the 2009 film. They did a ton of television together. They did Sleepy Hollow. I mean, they have a huge.
The Star Trek one was really good. But then I always feel like when I'm watching a big genre movie and I'm like, this script sucks, and I look it up, it's Kurtzman and Orci.
Yeah.
Or
like
Cubicles.
Spider-Man,
So he's-
Amazing Spider-Man 2,
Amazing Spider-Man 2, Star Trek Into Darkness.
Was there Transformers in there?
There's a
lot of
Transformers
blood.
in there, yeah.
A lot of mutant
Magic
blood.
They have that magic blood thing that they
Yep.
keep going to.
Yeah.
And Dan, you suffered through the Mummy, so we don't have to. But
I
it
did.
seemed like a really weird attempt to launch a franchise.
It was an attempt to launch an entire universe. I mean, it was just
Instead of making
there's
a
no
movie.
focus, and you could tell Tom Cruise came in there and tried to do his Tom Cruise thing, but it wasn't a good fit for him just as an actor, and the character was really weird, and it was just like trying to do 80 different things, and Russell Crowe shows up and he's Mr. Hyde.
Yeah.
It was everything except for a Mummy movie.
And like, I'm sure it's like an impossible task when he was probably asked to launch a universe and also make a Mummy movie. But
Yeah.
he seems like also, just by past history, the guy who will just say yes to what the studio
I
wants.
mean,
Because Amazing Spider-Man 2 was also like,
The same
here's all
exact
the
thing,
spin-offs we can launch.
Yeah.
I think he was. Yeah, that's an interesting thought because he was. If you think about his career, like he was working with networks for a lot of his career, so he was used to that kind of. He was also working with a partner for a lot of his career. He was involved when they were going to make Venom a few years ago at Sony, and he was going to be behind that and sort of like the villain universe, the United Villain universe. But launching this MonsterVerse, I think, was like an almost impossible task. These aren't the type of films that I think are speaking to today's audience as a united universe they necessarily want to see.
well, and I mean, Iron
I could
Man.
be wrong, but according to the box office, not.
Yeah.
Iron Man was an Iron Man movie, and then at the
Yeah.
very end, Nick Fury comes in and is like, "We're building a team." You're like, "Ooh, okay, that's
interesting."
interesting." But this would be like if in the first Iron Man movie they introduced Nick Fury and also Black Widow.
It's like if Iron Man
and
2 had been Iron Man 1.
Exactly, it's like if Iron Man 2 had been Iron Man 1, and it's just like, what? I don't. Who? Why? Okay. What do we do? Why are we talking about these people? Okay. All right. Fine.
Yeah.
And
What's
it's
happening
just
in this movie?
What's happening in this movie, which was not very much, is the question. And yeah, and then it looked just like X-Men Apocalypse. She had the exact same powers as Apocalypse, and they did the exact same
Alex,
thing
we
as
don't
Apocalypse.
blame you for having doubts. Is the
Yeah.
bottom line.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that we have to remember about these united universes when we're thinking of Marvel is that Kevin Feige had that in mind years before it actually came to fruition. I mean, this was like him. This was what he wanted. This a long, long time ago.
And if they hadn't been happy with that final cut of Iron Man, I don't think that
It
stinger
wouldn't
would have been in the
happened.
credits.
Yeah, and I don't think he would have had the trajectory that he did without those building on it and earning it via the success. But he also wanted to do that, and he felt like it made sense given the source material, which it does because they are comics.
Yeah.
Great question.
Yeah,
good question.
So Matt wants to know if you could give a franchise a reboot prequel series because Apes is doing it justice. What would it be?
Ooh, those are two of my least
good.
favorite words.
Reboot
Right
prequel
next to each
series.
other.
Barf.
Reboot prequel series.
So it would be for Barf.
Yeah, I mean, Apes was much more of a complete reboot than I would say a prequel. I think the Apes movies work because they're a complete retelling of that story from the ground up, which I think is why those movies are so good. They're just like, here's 3 movies and whatever. If you've seen the other movies, that's great. If not, this is our story. So it's tough. It's almost like what franchise should be completely reinvented from the ground up because I think that's the only reason that Apes worked.
Yeah.
I can't think of any, if I'm being honest.
I'm gonna go American Ninja.
Yes.
It's an IP no one really cares about.
Yeah.
So it's it's hard to crash that one completely. You could make a reboot of a bad ninja movie on a small budget. I think it's time. I think the '80s were the ninja boom, and I think it's time for a new American Ninja series. I really do.
Yeah, I can't top that. I'm going with American Ninja as well.
Thank you.
Just
Thank you for
a
getting on.
gritty, grounded American Ninja.
Yeah, I don't even know if I want it to be grounded. Like I think I still want it to be awful in a way. I think.
You just want to reboot it the same way?
Yeah, I think I want Mick G to direct it. I don't want it to be good. Yeah,
Poor McG.
Sweet.
just crank out 6 of them. I'll
I
be
will
happy.
say that in comments they are requesting drunk movie reviews for the following: Fight Club, interesting. I guess hoping that it'll end in a brawl. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Emoji Movie and the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which I am so down for because I used to do those on Friday nights. Now you're understanding the bullying. Okay, great. So let's move on to another fan question. I always wanted like movies that I felt like had potential but didn't reach their full potential to get reboots.
That's
There's like
what you need,
random
yeah.
horror film I remember that called Mr. Frost that was like about the devil, and I was like, this is kind of a cool idea, but it didn't quite land. So Mr. Frost,
Mr.
the
Frost,
movie you've
okay.
never heard of but features Jeff Goldblum, is the one that I am suggesting.
Bury the lead there.
You still put Jeff Goldblum in it?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
He would actually be my American Ninja.
And he looks the exact same. It's like from 30 years ago, and he looks the exact same. It's a little alarming. Devin Colson asks, 2017 being, hey Devin, we love you. 2017 being such a great year for superhero movies, what do you think is the best comic book movie of the year so far? Joe.
I mean, Wonder Woman.
Yeah, it's Wonder Woman. It's
probably
this is
Wonder
the-
Woman.
I would say Logan.
Oh,
This year?
Yeah.
Forgot that
that's
that's
Logan.
next year.
Yeah.
Oh, not
would
the
say
summer.
I
but
really liked Wonder Woman, but I think Logan is a
you are
stronger
100%
narrative
right.
front to back than
You're right.
Do we have a
Wonder
photo
Woman.
of Logan, or did we all just assume we would
we
pick
just
Wonder
assume
Woman?
Wonder Woman was
Yeah.
the one?
Nice.
Yeah, no, I
That's
think Logan is.
amazing. I didn't tell them to do that. They
Yeah.
just did that. But yeah, Logan, I actually, for some reason in my mind, put that last year.
Yeah.
They're very different films, though,
Logan's
in a way,
better.
which is kind of, it is.
They are.
Logan's a better movie. I agree.
And you just got some insight for how time passes in this office.
Yeah.
That was this year? Oh, God. That was
When
8
did
years
that come
ago.
out? 5 months ago? Oh. Feels like a year ago. Yeah.
Yeah, Logan.
very happy
I'd say
people.
Logan.
Great. Delisha wants to know if we're going to get new merch. I don't know.
I don't know.
I
We
don't
should
know.
ask David Pacman. David Pacman, are we going to get new merch? That sounds fun. What kind of merch would you want to see if we got new merch?
Nothing better than asking a question to us that none of us know the answer to.
I wanted to say what up to
Well, tell us
Delisha.
what merch. What should we slap a Screen Junkies logo on?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
a catheter.
Cat.
A cat. Living animal.
Screen Junkies cat.
I just want an office cat.
Water bottles.
Yeah, water bottles. What else? Vapes.
Vapes.
Yeah, Screen
kids- are
Junkies
the kids
vapes,
still
definitely.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Are the kids still vaping?
Are the
I believe,
kids still
I
vaping?
believe both the kids and the adults are still vaping.
Screen Junkies homemade slime.
What do you think, Joe?
Oh, gack.
Yeah, well, no, like the kids are making
Kids are
slime
making
in
their
their
own
basements
slime. You
now.
like
Are
can't
they?
get
That's the first
borax
time-
or whatever
it's
in,
the first
in
time I
stores.
felt old.
They're making
Yeah.
slime?
Yeah,
It's a
my
new
niece
thing.
talked
Good
to
job,
me
kids.
about
We'll send you
slime
down
for
that
a
slime
half
hole
hour.
after the show.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll send you down the slime hole.
Fair
All
enough.
right, that's
I
awesome.
really wish I hadn't said that out loud that way. That was a weird.
Yeah.
I'm
Weird
very
sentence.
pleased that you did. I have a final actual movie question, which is
Okay.
exciting for us. CN Griffin asked why, and I think you're going to like this one, Dan. Why do you think summer box office is down from last year when it seems like the movies are actually more well received and reviewed?
That's true.
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a great
Break it
question.
down, Dan.
Number one, it's because the quote unquote tried and true franchises, Pirates of the Caribbean, Transformers, are vastly underperforming versus the previous ones. This is a little out. Yeah, that's from the last year, so there might be a little bit of adjustment. Planet of the Apes, yes, was well received. Not making a lot of money. Cars 3, I think, generally well received. Not the hit that Pixar thinks it is. Even Despicable Me 3, doing great internationally here. Not so much. I think there are a lot more mid-level movies that are getting great reviews, like Baby Driver and The Big Sick, that are doing well for them, but aren't, making $200-300 million. So yeah, I agree. We had a really bad start to the summer, and then right around June, it kind of turned around. I mean, Guardians was good, and then we had kind of a wasteland for a while. But I think it's a combination of the good movies are smaller and aren't making as much money, and the Transformers big franchise ones are not performing well. Even Transformers globally struggling to get over $500 million, which I know boo-hoo, but still compared to what Age of Extinction did, that's huge.
Well, what could be interesting, although you probably don't have all the data for it, is to, instead of looking at gross receipts, is to look at profit. because so many movies like Get Out, like Baby Driver, like The Big Sick, like just made so much. Whereas, a Transformers movie can gross $1 billion, but they probably spent $1 billion to market it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And the ideal thing that comes out of that is that we see more of a model like that, where they're not pouring all of this money into a big franchise film that then they're terrified to do anything with. That's what happens. Like a lot of these films, they're not good because there's so many cooks in the kitchen afraid to place a bet on a strong story, on a film that they spent that much money on, which is why Logan was great, because they didn't spend as much money on it.
It's kind of like what Spencer said. Logan is going to turn a great profit because no, it didn't make $300 million, but it didn't cost $300 million either. Baby Driver is going to turn a great profit. Dunkirk is going to turn a great profit. Get Out, obviously, movies that aren't budgeted at $200 million, they're not going to make $200 million. Not all of them. Some of them do, but the profits are going to be huge. Yeah. Maybe more than a $400 million movie that made $800 million.
Do you think that streaming and just the amount of content available and the cost of movies plays into this at all?
I don't know. I think there's this weird dance going on between streaming and whether or not it affects movie theater performance. And so far, I feel like it still might be a little bit of a War on Christmas fable, where it's not really, like I say Merry Christmas and I hold a blank red Starbucks cup at the same time. It's weird. So I don't really know like how much they actually affect each other. I wonder if it's more after last summer. People were still going to see everything, and people sort of smartened up a little bit and said, "Oh, this is all garbage." And so maybe this summer, mentally, you're like, "I'm not going out to see a lot of this stuff."
And it's available in 3 months.
Yeah.
And movie theaters really need to step up their enforcement, because going to the theater now can be a genuinely unpleasant experience, because it only takes one or two people that aren't observing the texting and phone call rules just the rules of civility in a theater to ruin an experience for somebody and say it's not worth it. I'll wait till it's on, till I can rent it in 3 months. Plus, it's super expensive. I was reading an article the other day about AMC's profits are dropping big time, and part of their strategy is like, we're doubling down on premium stuff, premium seating, premium food, premium this, because that's what moviegoers want. And I was kind of reading this, it's like a lot of people are saying like, no, that's not what we want. We're not asking you to give us a $20 experience for the $20 we're paying. We're asking you to sell us a $9 ticket because we can't afford $18.50 for every movie that we go to.
I don't need a steak.
We don't need a steak. I just need a seat.
Right. I do think it's maybe in the long term heading to the point where the movie-going experience is like what the theater experience has become, which is kind of more rarefied. I will say, though, that my local AMCs, I love it because I go to a matinee and it's like $9.
Yeah.
And they are pretty comfy seats. So that part of it is nice, but you're right. As a business model, I don't know how that lasts when people really just want a more affordable experience for themselves and their family.
Yeah.
On that note, the people want Funko toys, as it turns out, for ScreenJunkies. I would like a Spencer Funko toy.
Oh.
That would be the first Funko I would ever own. Or be just
Would be yourself?
myself, because I don't get it. I just don't. They all look the same to me. I don't mean to be Funko racist. They all look the exact same thing, with just slightly different hair.
Yeah.
Do you have a Funko toy?
Yeah, I think on my desk I have a something. I have a something Funko
There you go.
on my desk.
don't
It's like
even
an
know what
Attack
it
on
is.
Titan Funko, maybe. I think. I don't know. It's
I have a
there. It's in the
Sean.
shape of a pop.
I got a Sean.
Sean.
And that's not my love of Funko. That's my love of Sean.
Of
the
Sean?
Dead.
Yeah.
Well, I
And,
think that's what
yeah.
Funko is, right? Because they are kind of generic, so it's about the thing that you love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about the thing. That is so much of
That's
what
the-
is being marketed to geek culture right now is like,
you like
here's
this
something
thing.
with a thing that you love on it. Buy it.
Hashtag that thing you love. I have a Harry
you love
Potter. I have a Tinkerbell. I have a gentleman from Buffy, from Hush, the episode Huff, and I have a Jack Burton. So there's those things I love. Tell us what you love in the comments below. Joe, what should they do?
Like with their lives?
You have a catchphrase, and I'm trying to hand it off to you.
Oh no,
doesn't work as well if I
that's
have to
Dalton's
explain
rule
the
from
thing.
Roadhouse. Just be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be nice to each other.
Let's all adhere to the rules of civility and try to be nice to one another.
Be
It's not
humans, you
always the
assholes.
There you go.
In any event, thank you for joining us today. Where can the people find you?
Right here every morning.
Yeah.
Every morning, and then
At
Monday
Spencer J.
morning,
Gilbert.
these two
Watching
were
Thrones.
Watching Thrones this
Getting
coming
good.
Monday. It's getting so good. I've
Yeah.
seen some people disappointed with the season, and it's bumming me out because I think
Nah.
it's pretty strong.
Pretty solid so far.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. Are you liking it?
I like it a lot. I don't understand why people want to see them walk more and travel more.
That is a weird
Yeah.
complaint.
That's a
It's just
weird
like I
request.
miss those episodes on end where they would just walk
On the
through
road.
It is,
woods.
it is
Oh,
interesting.
man.
I feel like the main complaints about like Walking Dead are always like
Too much
there's
walking.
Let's walk.
Too much walking, and there's not enough walking on Game of Thrones. What's the appropriate
Yeah.
amount of
Yeah.
walking to satisfy us television viewers?
It's a good question for us to ponder over the weekend.
Yeah.
Let's all think about that
Yes.
over the weekend. Let's try to be nice to ourselves and each other. Thank you for joining us and sticking with us. It was a long one today, so really thank you. And like, subscribe, do the things, and we will see you Monday morning, bright and 11.
Happy Friday.